are you doing tonight? So tonight, we're going to be focusing on traditional foods, but possibly making them a little bit more healthier than what we're used to. So tonight, we've got quite a few people here. We've got a few more new guests, so let me have you introduce yourselves.
Leanna.
We have Leanna, Adrian, and who? Allie Page. And then we have Miss Thelma and Miss Thelma's husband, Aaron, and Miss Claudine, and we have Raylene over there. Claudia, sorry. Claudia, my fault. She's gonna smack me after this. And then we have Troy doing our tech and audio. But tonight is also the last class of the year. So I want to send a huge thank you to Sanai, Governor Mokino, Tribal Council, Troy, Raylene, Thelma, Claudine, Auntie Jean. Why do I keep calling you Claudine? It's Claudia. Oh, she's really gonna smack me now. Someone hide the wooden spoon. Because without them, this wouldn't be possible. And I really do enjoy coming out here, sharing all these different recipes with all of you, just showing you different suggestions, different ways of preparing foods, and foods that you've probably never tried, and probably foods that you have tried just with a twist. So usually for the holidays, what do we think? We think, okay, some of us have our deer dances, our eagle dances, the different dances we do in the villages. And we're thinking, okay, we're going to prepare all these traditional foods. So with me, we always have the beans, we always have the red chili. We're gonna put a little bit of a twist on this though. The twist is, so we're first gonna start with the beans. When you make beans, what's traditionally the flavor enhancer?
Bacon.
Bacon. Salt pork.
Neck bones.
Neck bones. Some people use fat back. Some use, a lot of different items. Some use pork. The ham bones, which are all good flavor enhancers. However, a lot of those do have a lot of fat in it. And we're trying to get away from high fat, high cholesterol foods. So I know I've seen some people do, like they have the bacon, bacon is a popular one. They have the bacon and sometimes they just barely fry it and then they throw it in there. I was like, but you're not really getting that flavor out of the bacon. You're also not rendering out as much fat as you should as well. Ham is a really good flavor enhancer. What I'm using tonight is Canadian bacon. Has anybody ever tried Canadian bacon? So with Canadian bacon, it is a very lean piece of meat. It's not high in fat. Sometimes it's smoked, sometimes it's not. So in that case, you also get that extra flavor out of it. What we're going to use tonight, I have a pressure cooker here. Has anybody ever done beans in a pressure cooker? No, usually on the stove? Okay, so with a pressure cooker, it usually takes a lot less time. Some people even use slow cookers for their beans as well. But for the sake of time, we're going to use a pressure cooker. This one is an Instant Pot. And what I love about this thing, you can do a lot of things in it. You can saute in it. You can fry in it, which is pretty much the same thing. You can slow cook in it. You can pressure cook in it. You can time what you're doing in it as well. A lot of times, if I am doing any type of meat, and I want to do a slow cook, I'll just put this on, for overnight, and it's done the next morning. So let's see, on this one, I'm going to do a saute. Let's see. And so for this, like I said, I'm going to be using Canadian bacon. 2, 3, 4, 5, about 5 slices. And again, the Canadian bacon, when you look at it, it's pretty skinny, it's thin. You're like, that's not going to be enough to put flavor into this, especially for the amount of beans that we're using. But again, you're not really looking for large pieces. You just want this to enhance that flavor that you're going to be using in there. So we're going to fry it in just a little bit of oil. We're also going to put some onions in it. How many here fry up onions before they put their beans in? Raylene does. Okay. Have any of you tried it with cooked onions? Nope. So again, when you're cooking your onions, whether it's in beans or any other type of stew, what you want to do is get those natural caramelized sugars to come out of the onions, and that gives it a deeper flavor as well. Let's see. So that's about 2 teaspoons in there. Over here, I'm gonna grab, this one is going to be a yellow onion that I'm going to use. Oh, I'm gonna cry. I know I'm gonna cry. I can feel it. So yes, any of you seen me already, you know I do use my goggles. And they do save me. I was telling some of them here before we started that I've not met an onion that I have not cried for. So besides, some of the dances, probably not a lot of Pueblos are doing them right now. What are things that any of you do around the holidays as well? That's like traditional, like not traditional, but like that's your tradition, like something that you say Christmas, that's the first thing you think of. Okay, we got breakfast burritos. What else?
Well, it's not Indian tradition, but people make menudo
Uh-huh.
tradition for Christmas and the Spanish culture.
Uh-huh.
And some households.
Bone stew. Tamales. Tamales is a big one. Mm-hmm. Little smokies. Okay. Well, one thing that I do, and I was telling Raylene about this a little earlier, is that if I had a functioning kitchen, the one thing that I like to do, whether it's Christmas or even Thanksgiving, I like to put together meal baskets, meal bags, and go out and deliver among homeless. That's just kind of my thing. I can cook a big meal for anybody any day, but I like to take out that one day to do something for others that, that they tend to be forgotten a lot. And they're, believe me, a lot more thankful for it than we tend to be on occasion. Okay, so I have, I don't know, this is going to be about 1/4 of a cup, maybe a little more, maybe like 1/3 of a cup of finely diced onions. And we're slowly going to let those sweat out. And to this, I'm going to add just a little bit of salt. Bacon. You know, celery when you're making stews, that type of stuff. Again, those little brown bits that you get in there, that's really going to enhance a layer of flavor. And then when you put your other ingredients in on top of that, that just kind of builds and layers on top of each other. So those are sweating down. I'll add the Canadian bacon. Okay, and all of these beans, they've already been rinsed, they've been cleaned, they've been soaked. So it's not going to take these as long to cook in a pressure cooker. On pressure cooker, these might take about half an hour max. If you're doing them on the stove, it's been a long time since I've done beans on the stove. What, like 40 minutes? Depends, yeah, depending on how long you've been letting them soak as well. So what are some other, like I like to go back to memories, especially at the holidays, like people get very reminiscent about days gone by. What are some of your favorite memories, like growing up around the holidays?
When the kids were small, we used to, Christmas Eve, start from philosophy and make our way down, looking at the Christmas.
Oh,
We did, a lot of times, and then we go up to mom's house and bring, ornaments.
oh, okay. Okay, so we have Christmas lights and ornament exchange.
This was a time when I usually see all my cousins, my mother's and my father's kids,
Uh-huh,
my mother's brothers and sisters' kids.
uh-huh.
Yeah, usually when I see grandparents and stuff.
Oh, okay, so it's reconnecting with family. I see.
They're all distant.
Do they live like out of state?
Yeah, he was in Laguna.
Oh, okay,
Mostly.
I see. Raylene?
Or Matachinas, somebody's always dancing sometimes.
Oh, yeah, dancing matachinas.
Yeah.
Either in Laguna or like, probably that's the church Christmas Eve.
Uh-huh,
That's one of the nice memories. And then Santa Clara, one house and off.
uh-huh,
The dancers going around to dance,
uh-huh,
traditional dances.
yeah. Aw. Yeah, and that's something I think we're lucky that we have, because a lot of people may not have those type of, especially cultural traditions. That, if we can't be home, at least we have that memory of, oh, that's what happened, dancing in the church. Going to church. Mhm.
Midnight, don't worry, it's at 10 or 8 or
Oh, early mass.
And, long time ago, we used to, people used to go, Christmas caroling after, midnight mass.
Oh, okay. I've never been Christmas caroling.
It was nice to do that and then going, the different Christmas morning to different homes and a lot of the elderly give you bags of, food like apples, oranges, and things like that.
I see.
And then him and I, we haven't done it in a long time, but we used to, put together sandwiches and, drinks, and we used to take to the homeless people in Santa Fe.
Mhm.
And a few times we took blankets and we would take that on almost every Christmas Eve,
Mhm.
but we haven't done that in a while.
I like that.
Another thing too would be the kids are always having something, the
Uh-huh.
Head Start or the baseball, they're always having a program. And you always see everybody from home at least once before Christmas is over.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I see.
And then they used to have, people used to take their Christmas cards to the program.
Uh-huh,
They would sort them out, so everybody got like cards from committee,
uh-huh. Oh,
and whoever wanted to get cards out
uh-huh.
to other people.
Oh, I like that. Okay, so the onions, the Canadian bacon browned up. So I put in the bowl with the beans and the water. But I'm gonna add a little bit more, but I'm gonna use veggie stock. So veggie stock again, this is just another different layer of flavor that we're gonna add to this. Okay. And so with this pressure cooker, now we're going to put it to the beans setting. I think that one says beans. No. Where's beans? There we go. Okay. I'm gonna put on the lid, close it, and keep it from the pressure now on. Okay, so that was pretty quick. Next one that we're going to do, when was the last time anybody had blue corn mush?
Wow.
Yeah, about 2 weeks.
So some people it's been a really, really long time, some people a couple of weeks. All right, so with blue corn mush, most people just use the blue corn. Sometimes it's just the flour. So in this one, I'm going to be using white grits, which is just ground up corn, and then a coarsely ground blue corn. So it's not necessarily the flour to make it too fine, because I like a little, I'm more of a texture person. I like knowing that I can eat it rather than making it feel like ice cream or something where you're like, you know, sometimes it's a little too soupy for me. Well, mush is mush, but you know, it's too mushy. Yes.
Gotta be the corn.
Okay, so for this one, we will still be using still some onion. Too bad. Okay. And the general ratio for blue corn, for anybody that has not made it, it's usually like blue corn to water is always going to be about 4 to 1. But it just depends on how thick or how thin you want your blue corn to be. And this one, again, I'm going to be using onion, cooking it up. Again, this is going to flavor the oil because I like to brown my blue corn, my grits, whatever it is, before I actually put it on. There we go. Wait, hold on. Hold on. Okay, it's on. We won't blow up. So I have this really funny story about using a propane stove once before. This was a long time ago. So, because you know how houses get hot and you know, you always have sometimes a propane burner outside. So I'm out there like this, trying to get it to go on, trying to get it to go on. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. So finally I'm like, oh, I got it. And I put the match in there, whoosh, the whole thing went up. I had no eyebrows, I had no eyelashes, and all right here was burned off. So that was a very scarring moment in my life. So as much as I love gas stoves, I'd rather let somebody else go through that. No, I still want a gas stove when I finally get my house. It's, you know.
Get the long matches.
Yes, that too. That, and I'll let my brother deal with that. Okay.
Nobody gets the house first.
Huh?
If nobody gets the house first.
I won't let that happen. Okay, so what we're going to be using, a lot of times when I cook, it's always grape seed oil, because it's a neutral oil. It's also a high burning or high smoke oil. So you can use some of those higher temperatures with it and it's not gonna smoke and burn and all that stuff. So I've got that. Let's see. You can always tell if you just put one little piece in. Not yet. It is. That's why I'm a little leery with this. That's true. I will just wear my eyelash skirt goggles. Okay, so it seems to be good. See, that's the sound you want to hear when you're frying stuff. Okay. Put this to the side for now. And then also to this blue corn, we're going to be using wild celery. Have you guys tried wild celery before? No? Okay. Thelma was talking to me. She's like, oh, she's like, yes, I go pick lots of it every year. So we've got two different types. I've got dried, like we let it dry and then kind of crush it up. And this one was in the freezer, so it looks a little gnarly right now. So this is like the fresh, but frozen and then thawed version. So these two in there together are going to give different flavors. One, kind of like if you're using fresh herbs, whether they're in the dry or the fresh version, depending on when you use them in your cooking, it will give a different layer of flavor. And this one, I'm just gonna add a little bit of salt again to draw out that moisture. And on these though, I'm not going to let these start to caramelize. I just want them to get to like a milky, creamy stage. And then I'm going to put the grits in, only because if I let these go a little too long and then I put the grits in, your onions are gonna start to burn and you don't want that. You want them to kind of like toast and cook along the same way at about the same rate as your grits. I'm going to put those in. But do any of you ever toast your grits or blue corn before you use it? No? Now you can do this not only with, you know, the grits or the blue corn when you're making mush, but you can also do this. I like to do it when I'm making a toli. Like I'll toast up the blue corn until it's like this light sandy color, but you'll also be able to smell it as well. You'll be able to smell that toasty scent that's coming off of the corn as well. And then after, you know, when you're ready to add your liquid or your sugar or whatever else you're using with it, it enhances the natural corn sweetness in it as well. So if you want to try that. Okay. That will just take a couple of minutes. And then right before it's ready to, we're ready to put the liquid in, and I'm just going to use plain water for this one. We're going to put in just a little bit more oil, but make like a little safe spot to put in both of the different types of wild celery. You've never had wild celery before? Really?
Somehow.
Yeah.
Oh. I don't know how to say it in your language, sorry. Okay.
That's all I was gonna say. Come on.
Okay. So let me get this over here. Okay. Okay. So the other thing we're going to make tonight is a slow braised red chili yogurt marinated beef. And I already see some of your looks. I can already hear some of you saying, what the fadarky are you doing? Why are you putting yogurt on meat? See, I heard him over there. So the one thing about yogurt is that it's really good for marinating meat because it's going to have to, it helps to tenderize and break down, especially tough fibrous chunks that you have, whether it's beef, whether it's chicken, pork, anything like that. Have any of you ever used, what is it called? Buttermilk for marinating? Mm-hmm. So it's the same thing with yogurt. It helps to marinate. It helps to break down those tough fibrous chunks of meat. However, in this state, like instead of with buttermilk is very liquidious. So it's, you know, if you were to put something in it, it just sits in it. With this, we're going to make a paste, like a rub that we're going to put on the meat. And then with the meat, you're going to slow cook it as well. So not only is it going to, well, when you do this, you're going to pretty much do it overnight, marinate the rub into it. And then the next day when you cook it, you're going to cook it at a really slow amount of time at a low temperature. Okay, that's going. And the meat will come out very, very tender. Okay, so I don't know if any of you can see how it's kind of turned color a little bit. It's gone more of a, like a sandy brown color. So at this point, I'm gonna add just a little bit of oil and put the celery in. This one in. And we're gonna put this one in as well. Huh? Mm-hmm. Yeah, just make a little safe space and then we're just gonna put it in there. Fry it just a little bit. Because what you're doing when you're frying, whether it's fresh herbs or the dried herbs, the oil that it's sitting in is now going to become flavored. And so when you put the water in, that flavor in the oil is now going to disperse throughout the rest of your food. All right, now this one, I'm only going to put in about half the normal amount of water right now. So about 2 cups, more or less. And then after about, I don't know, 10 minutes or so, it's going to start to thicken up. And then you can see, do I want to add a little bit more, a lot more? You know, where exactly do you want that your mush to be. So how do most people here like their mush? Like liquidy kind of mush, or more chunky?
Soft and chunky.
That's mine, not thin, but
Uh-huh.
thick.
Okay.
I like it like muscle milk, like
Yeah.
a little bit of those
Yeah.
little balls in there. Comfy, yeah.
Clumpy. Okay. So may I add like corn dumplings. Okay. We'll let that cook. Okay. All right. Now we're going to start on the meat. So again, we have yogurt. What you're going to use is plain unflavored yogurt. Don't use the Greek yogurt because I know that's really popular right now. It's just going to be absolutely plain unflavored yogurt. Because if not, if you were to use the Greek yogurt, you're still going to have to use lemon juice, water, something to thin it out a little bit, because it's going to be too thick for this rub. It's going to be way too pasty. So items that we're going to put into this are, let's see, we have the yogurt, and this is about 3.5 pounds of meat that I'm using right now. So we have the yogurt. And if you ever have yogurt that it starts to separate and you see that whey in here, don't throw that out. That's really good too. So make sure you use that. We have, this is about 1/2 cup of red chili powder. I'm not going to use it all right now. I'm going to put, I don't know, maybe 2/3 of it in. Okay. We have 2 teaspoons of granulated garlic powder, 2 teaspoons of onion powder, 2 teaspoons of onion flakes, dry onion flakes. And then here's where it's going to be a little like, why should you do that? 2 tablespoons of dark brown sugar. And so usually, especially when you're making marinades, rubs, you want the salt and the sugar in there because it's going to do 2 different things. Salt, yes, it doesn't necessarily draw out the moisture. When you're using salt with meat, what it does is it helps to, let's see, what's the word? What's the word I want to say? So, okay, we've got all our meat fibers like this, okay? Each one is its own house. When you add salt to it, salt does something that's called osmosis. It will now start to allow the breakdown of these individual fibers so that then now all kind of like kumbaya together. So that's what salt does with meat. And the sweet, the sugar, again, it's only 2 tablespoons. The sugar is going to help draw the flavors into the meat. But because this is also brown sugar, it has that molasses in it. So it'll bring a different, again, layer of flavor into your meat. They do, they kumbaya together. Okay, and now we're gonna add some salt. Okay, so this is our marinade. I forgot a spoon, so we're gonna mix it by hand.
Chili yogurt. Looks good like that. Chili
Someone wants chili yogurt,
yogurt.
try it. Okay, so got this all mixed up, and you see how it's thick? So that's how you want it. If you want to add a little bit more red chili powder, you can. Again, it depends on how much chili you want in here. I would say we use as minimum of 1/4 cup and then just go up from there. Okay.
But You just more want the flavor than you do the quantity or the, or, you
Mhm.
know, just depending on what kind of heat you want, right?
Yeah. And then
What flavor is that chili, like hot, mild?
all I had was hot. So, but it's not going to be as hot as you think it's going to be. Um,
I'm sorry, I'm just gonna say it's probably not hot.
okay, so that is our marinade for now. Now, the other thing that we're going to do, which is slightly different than what we had growing up, is on the meat, you want to take off almost all the fat that you see.
Almost.
And everybody's, I already know you're going to say, that's the best part. Why are you taking out the fat? Because I can already hear you say that. So the way,
Good thing you did it before you got here.
okay, so with this, especially with beef and pork, but pork can be pretty lean depending on what part of the pig you're getting it. With beef, as you can see, let me show you this piece. This is what they call marble. You can see the fat that's going through it. Traditionally with pigs, the fat is always on the outside. You hardly ever see it marbled like this. There is actually one species of pig that they raise, I think it's in Spain. It's the Iberian pig, and they raise that one specifically so that the fat that they eat, that they're holding inside, actually marbles the meat just like beef. So just in case anybody wanted to know that. A tidbit, an odd food tidbit. That going. Let me lower that just a little bit. Okay, so we're going to finish defatting, taking off the fat.
Jimmy?
Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. The beef. Now this one that I'm using, I think this one is top round. But with meat, so I will take the rest of the little bits of meat off of here, but this one, if you can see all that extra, these are like veins and fat, and it's like, do you really want to eat that? I can already hear some of you saying, yes, you do.
Yes, we do.
But I'm thinking about your arteries. I'm thinking about, I don't want you to have clogged arteries. I want you to be able to live one extra day.
For another bowl of stew.
For another bowl of stew. But yes, that's all we're doing, just trimming off all the fat and all the extra yucky bits. I call them yucky bits. But again, flavor comes in a lot of different forms. Okay, so. And then with these, let's see here. When you're trimming it, here, I like to use like a fillet knife, something that can get that the fine cuts. And then when you're cutting it up, about 4-inch cube pieces. You don't want to leave it in that huge chunky meat slab, only because when you start to put this rub on there, I mean, that's pretty thick. You want it to really get into there. So the smaller the pieces, the better. Okay. Up. All right. So now that we have all of this, what you're going to do is you're going to get a large, like a gallon size bag, Ziploc, and get some more gloves. Now you're going to have playtime. You're going to get your hands nice and dirty. You're going to take your meat, throw it in your marinade here. And then if you think that if you don't have enough, you can always add a little bit more yogurt to it as well. But usually about a cup of yogurt with your red chili and all the other items in there is good enough to coat about 3 pounds of meat. And then once you're finished coating this, then you're going to mix it up, get everybody happy in the bag. And then you're going to leave it at least overnight to marinate. So I would say at least a minimum of 10 hours for this. But longer would be better. I would say don't go more than 24 hours though. Let me just scrape this out. Okay. So again, once you have that, everything's in there, you're just going to seal it. And then just massage it, have fun with it. Make it be happy that it's got some red chili and some yogurt on it. So once everything's coated, again, you're just going to throw this in the refrigerator for a minimum of 10 hours up to 24 hours. Okay, you guys said you like yours a little more on the runny side, right? Okay. Then how many salt their food before they actually taste it? Okay, so it's like when you're doing grits, beans, that type of stuff, I would usually salt it right at the very end because you don't know exactly, you know how much salt, when to put the salt. And then also with corn, it's going to absorb it a lot. So if you put in too much salt in the beginning, you can't take it out afterwards. So always salt it toward the end when it's almost done. This way, you're not having too much salt in whether it's your mush, whether it's in your beans, and you're able to control that a little bit more. May need a bigger pot. Does anybody have that problem too? You don't realize you're making too much until it's too late. Okay, somebody does it with rice all the time. So I have another funny story about cooking way too much. Hold on here. All right, so long time ago, back in the good old days, when we had, landlines that we used all the time. So I was home by myself, not doing anything. My parents called and said, "Hey, can you put on some beans?" I said, "Okay." I said, "Well, how much?" They said, "Oh, just use the green bowl." That green bowl was about like and I said, "Are you sure?" They said, "Yes, just use the green bowl." I'm like, "Okay." I didn't realize that there was another green bowl that was a lot smaller. So I'm like, wow, I better get started on this. So I filled up that green bowl. Again, it's like this, maybe this deep. I'm like, okay. I fill it up. I put it on the table and I'm like, okay, I gotta start cleaning, making sure my beans are clean. Okay, rinse them. Like, okay, let them sit, what you're supposed to do. And then I was like, oh, those beans are growing. Like, I need another bowl. So I go and find another big green bowl. I'm like, half and half. Okay, that's good. I'm like, okay, I need to find a pot for all these beans. So I found a pot, about like that. I'm like, okay, those should all fit in there. So once they're finished soaking, they're ready to go. I'm like, okay, throw all the beans in the one pot, put it on. I go check them, first couple of times, not bad, come back and they're like, oh, I need another pot. I go find another pot. Another one is like this, put it on the stove. So I get like another big bowl, I'm like scooping them out, put them in, scooping them out, put them in. I'm like, okay, so I've got two huge, big pots of beans. I'm like, I bet they probably meant a different green bowl. It dawned on me at that point, I made too many. So that was probably one of the first times I ever made beans on my own. Because usually, your mom, grandma, somebody is there to help, hey, they say, okay, put the beans in there, clean them, wash them, get them on the stove. Okay. This time they're like, oh, just put them in the green bowl. Okay. That was a mistake they never made again. So ever since that day, I've always been known to make way too much food. Too much beans, too much everything. My dad was extremely excited. My mom wasn't. Yep. I made way too many beans that time. I'm pretty sure they froze some. I know that we just had way too many beans for a long time. Okay. Okay. So once you have, your mush done, once your beans are done, and you've let that, marinated beef or chicken or pork or whatever you want to use the yogurt marinade on, and you slow cook it. You end up with something like this. And you're going to, like I said, slow and slow. This was originally cooking for, let's see, before I brought it here, about 6 hours on right around 200. But we're finishing it off here. So yes, that, and it's, again, when you go like that, it should just start to fall apart. And, so it's been cooking in this. So when you get it, you're finished marinating it, you're going to put it in a pan. Again, if you're cooking it in the oven, you're going to cook it right about 275, 300. It just depends on your oven. You know your oven, so choose the one that will work for you. You put it in a baking dish. Make sure you tightly cover this. You don't want any of that steam to come out. And then about 2 cups of, whether it's water or broth, because again, this is going to be a slow braise, so it's going to use that water to slow cook, almost like, do you guys know what sous vide is? No? Sous vide? Sous vide? No, sous vide is a type of cooking style where you take meat or vegetables, whatever your item is, you put it into a bag and immerse it in water, and it slowly cooks it, but it slowly cooks so it becomes very tender as well. So I want to say this is kind of like a sous vide style where you're slowly braising this in that water. And that red chili that's part of this will get in there. So you get almost like a red chili, not red chili stew, but almost like a red chili stew where you could use this liquid for that, along with your beans and your mush. Again, you're getting rid of a lot of fat, but there's still a lot of flavor in here as well. So,
2 cups.
Just 2 cups.
Did you use the broth or did you use the water?
This one, I think I used the broth on this one, but you could go either way. If you use water, no problem. If you use broth, that's just a little bit of extra flavor. But so this is what it will look like. But let's see, how much time do we have left on these beans? 16 minutes. Can you guys hold on for 16 minutes?
Yes, because I've never had half an hour of beans.
Let's see, I'm just gonna taste this really quick to make sure the seasoning is okay. Okay. Use. Okay, so to this, I'm probably putting about a half a teaspoon of salt right now, because it does need some. That's perfect. Okay. So that is pretty much done. Let's see. What else? What else? What else? Does anybody have any questions? No?
So tomorrow, can we do it in a crock pot?
You can do those beef in the crock pot. Now on some crock pots, it really depends. If you put it on low, sometimes low is still a little too high. You want a crock pot where the low temperature usually is right around 200, because when you cook it in a crock pot, you want it to be in there for at least, gosh, minimum of 6 hours. But if you want to go longer than that, 8 or 9 would be really good. So if you were to make this tomorrow, start it, tonight, if you have a timer on your crock pot, that'd be great. Just throw it in there, maybe around midnight, throw it on. And then tomorrow, it will be ready right before lunchtime. Mhm.
Oh. 6 and yeah, it's, yeah, it's a timer, yeah. The air.
It has, oh, okay.
Yeah, mine has a timer, so once it hits that thing, it shuts off or either goes to warm. I don't use it that often
Uh-huh.
because I don't want it to shut off. So I don't like that.
Mhm. I see.
I was working on my Christmas playlist so I got the Christmas songs in my head. I just have it on Spotify. Yeah, that's what I was doing, my Christmas list. So today while I was doing that, I just kept going, do. I was like, okay, Rihanna. Because she likes the Home Alone soundtrack.
All right, I'm just turning this over in here.
See?
What,
Oh, Franklin.
what is, are there bowls? I'll give everybody a little bit of the meat to start with. Okay, this is just a try for now.
And for the rub, you prefer the powdered garlic?
Mm-hmm.
So would you prefer the powdered chili?
Yes. Oh, yes. I forgot to talk about that. So I do prefer the powdered chili rather than, I know some people will probably have, want to make their own blended chili, but that's going to make your rub a little too liquidy because when you, when,
Fresh.
because it's fresh and then you already have that liquid in there and then you're adding it. Yeah, you're putting more moisture in. So which is why I like it with just the powdered because it's going to actually stick to the meat versus if you make your own red chili, like the liquid, not liquid, but you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, it's just gonna roll off.
Yeah.
instead of-
Mm-hmm.
Like the milk, you said.
Mm-hmm.
Have you tried green chili?
No, I haven't, but that is one that I really would like to try.
The green powdered chili?
Mm-hmm.
That would be good. That'd be like a
Well, they have
that'd be
the
like a
green
beef-
chili
green
powder.
chili
Uh-huh.
turkey stew.
They do. Actually, there's one that I do like to make. It's a turmeric chicken, but you're using also the yogurt as well and making a paste out of that with the turmeric in it, and that comes out really good. Let's see. Okay, so who's where? Let's see, 1, 2, 4. I didn't put enough on this one. So I'm gonna have everybody taste this. Do you have? And then your husband is somewhere?
Yeah.
Oh, he did, okay. Okay, and we don't have Troy here. So I'm gonna have everybody tasting right now just to let you all know how it's, with the flavor and whether they say yay or nay.
I like it.
So far, all thumbs up.
When you were doing the rub, I was like, oh, carne asada. That's what it reminded me.
Oh, uh-huh.
Carne asada? Carne asada. Carne.
And Thelma's thinking about it.
Carne asada. Carne asada. That kind of tastes chili.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just,
Uh-huh.
you said it was hot. So I'm trying to.
Uh-huh. You're looking for that heat. Uh-huh.
You can taste the flavor of the chili.
So yeah, in this one, you're looking more for the flavor rather than the heat. So unlike, other red chilies that we make when it's like, oh, that fresh red chili, again, like when you're making your stews and stuff, that fresh red chili, that one is going to have that punch in it. This one, because you're looking more for that flavor, especially when you're making that marinade to put on your meat, you're looking more for that flavor rather than the heat. But if you wanted to like maybe add, some afterwards, you could probably do that too. Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Kid approved. So let's see, how much longer do we have on here?
7 minutes.
7 minutes. Who has sunflower out there? Anybody? Looking for some tortillas now. 7, 6. I think. Or say it's done.
They were soaking.
They've been soaking since early this morning. Okay, so again, how many of you have or haven't used a pressure cooker? No? Okay, so with this one, I like it because it's not as scary as the old-fashioned kind, where, actually, okay, here's another funny story that has to do with beans. So again, way back in the day, my mom had made, beans in the pressure cooker on the stove, the old-fashioned, pressure cookers that they used to have. Came home from school one day and my mom is there and she's on the floor cleaning. I'm like, Mom, what happened? She said the pressure cooker exploded. I looked up and there's beans all over the ceiling. There's beans everywhere. I'm like, oh, I'm never using a pressure cooker. But this one I will use because it's not going to explode on me. So all you have to do is hold this. And the reason you do it here is because if you were just to open it, that's when things explode. So you want to reduce the pressure in here. And this particular style of an Instant Pot has a little, kind of like on turkeys, when it's done, it goes up. So it has the same thing here. So kind of like a turkey gauge, but I call this my bean gauge. So when you release the pressure, that will eventually go down. And when it's down, that means it's safe to open it up. And you can get a good facial.
Mental, healthy, facial, yogurt.
So again,
Put the marinade on. When your beans are done, you take it off. You have your meal.
a yogurt chili marinade. Yep.
I'm like, "Fry sauce."
So yeah, so again, all our traditional foods, the basic ones, but again with a slight twist on it to make them a little more healthy. Again, we're not getting rid of any of the flavor. You're just incorporating different flavors that are going to play on top of each other. Come on, beans. Let's see.
So they're gonna do the whole half an hour in there. 7 minutes.
Let's see. Let me get a few more bowls. Let me
That's
get.
actually good too, because the plain yogurt, they sell them by the little container,
Mm-hmm.
so it's economical.
Uh-huh. Although nowadays they tend to sell more of the Greek style yogurt in those little ones. It's hard to come by just the plain. Mm-hmm. But if you are able to, that's a good way too, because it's easier to, instead of like
Dish
having
it
to
out.
boil a big one, you can just get a couple of those little ones.
Like Greek yogurt make a difference?
Yes, Greek yogurt is a little too thick. You actually have to thin it out, because if not, it turns into cement.
Oh, so the juice there, that part from the yogurt, right? too?
No, so there's about
Just the meat.
2 cups of
Oh, yeah, the broth.
broth in there, and then when you're cooking the meat will let its own juices into it as well.
I forgot about the broth.
Geez, that really is going to be the full 30 minutes, huh? It's almost done. It's almost done.
Gotta dip it.
Okay, it went down.
Right,
You want-
you want.
Okay. These are done.
So how long did you soak your beans for?
Because I had to be ready for this evening before I went to work. I think I put them in about 6 o'clock this morning. So they were soaking for quite a long time.
At least 12 hours.
All right, so I said beans are done. Hold on, let me just test them. Ah, I have no spoon. I have no spoon. Hold on. Grab this one. Probably about a teaspoon and a half of salt is what I'm putting in these. Okay. All right, so let me get another bowl. Can I get another bowl? Sorry, I'm like trying to find them. Thank you. Huh?
You don't need to put me in here, I will not do that.
You won't?
No.
No? You sure?
Yeah, I'm not too.
Okay. Uh-huh.
Yeah, no.
No, you don't mind mush? Okay.
Oh, there you go.
So
We're just laughing because we watched my cousin Vinny too much.
you watch what?
My cousin Vinny.
I have never seen that movie.
Some grits in there.
Okay. So do you guys usually put your mush with your beans or no?
No,
No.
No? Okay.
I've never tried it like that.
No?
But that's what I'm here for. so
Okay.
try it, please.
Here.
Ooh, with that salt.
Okay, so again, this is how I would prefer to serve it.
Okay.
So with the beans and then the mush and then your, that one.
Have my grandma try this, because we like the chicken and beans.
Oh, really?
Yeah. The beans and chicken.
Give you that one. Sorry, it's hot. And then do you eat a lot? Or no?
He likes
Eat-
it.
Okay.
Oh,
Ah,
Has she tried mush before?
probably, yeah.
Yeah, okay, I'll put a little bit in here for you then. And Thelma, you said just beans and chili and beef? Oh, okay.
I won't eat it. Don't like the grittiness, you know, just like with the long stuff, I will not eat that.
Okay, I'm gonna give this one to Thelma.
Thank you.
Claudia,
I'm trying
all
to
of it?
not- Yeah, but not too much. Much.
Okay,
that's good.
Should have popped in one of the stragglers. We could have had Kiva stew. I'm gonna make it, I'm gonna call it that, the day two San. Day two San.
okay, Claudia. Thank you.
Yeah.
And see, that's just using onions and Canadian bacon.
I never thought about beans. I mean, I just
Really?
ate beans today.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Fry the onions and
Uh-huh.
put a little flour.
I
And
see.
put in the beans, make it thick.
Uh-huh. Ah, okay. See, I've never done that. Raylene, one of everything? Okay.
My granddaughter cooks beans and they come out all thick. I said, how do you do it? I never come on.
Usually when you're cooking beans, the reason that they start to come out really thick is because you put a lot of fat in it. And that could be from like salt pork, bacon, just plain, really? Oh, that's interesting.
I do my beans now. Here's mine used to do them with the potato. And now I put a potato in with my beans. It comes out thick. It comes thick. That-
They said with the starch helped it.
Oh,
Instead of
Potato?
cornstarch,
uh-huh.
I put a whole peeled potato and cut it in half and put it in there.
I see. Okay. There you go. Okay. So to everybody watching, again, huh?
Time to taste the mushroom.
Huh?
Tastes good.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, to everybody watching, so this is just a slight twist on how to make traditional foods just slightly healthier and getting rid of a lot of the fat. With the mush, just giving you another way to add some extra flavor in there. With the beans, using Canadian bacon and onion rather than using salt pork, fat back, bacon, that type of stuff. So far, everybody here seems to like it. So yeah, try it. Let us know what you think. The recipe should be up on the website sometime tomorrow, within the week. Again, try it if you're going to be cooking for Christmas, the New Year. Just throw something a little different in there, for your families, so that you live a little bit longer. So, all right. If anybody has any questions, email us, let us know. Raylene, are you going to do another class next month or hold off for a while? Okay. Okay. So not sure about a class next month. They will keep you posted for those in the diabetes program. Ask Raylene, contact her, find out when the next class is. Because anytime we do have these classes, you do get to come down, enjoy. You get fed very well.
Yep.
So yeah, Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays. Eat up, enjoy. Governor, hopefully you can make it to one of the classes. Tribal Council, hopefully you guys can make it to one of the classes as well.
I did.
Thelma did.
Yeah. You have one there already.
So yes, thank you, Sanai, for letting me come here and being able to cook for you and share these different recipes with you. All right, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas. It's good.